folks, joining me now is Florida Congressman Byron Donalds, member of the House Oversight Committee. Byron, welcome back. Is this a problem or what? How do you read this story?
Larry, it's good to be with you. I really don't see this as being much of a problem at all. This is now the White House trying to do everything they can to stall, because what they know is what I know, is that Joe Biden helped to facilitate a public corruption scandal with his son and his brother, and the Biden family made more than $20 million using his position of power against, frankly, the will and the prospects of the United States of America. It was for their own personal gain. And so now they're trying to stall. Now they're trying to go back and read memos and do all this other stuff, when all of this started with the fact that Joe Biden lied to the American people when he said he had no idea what his son was doing. That was a flat out lie. I think this is really more of a stall tactic from the White House. But hey, you know what? If they want to start stalling now, they've been doing that for 4.5, 5 years. So it's just really par for the course.
Well, of course, that's an important point. I mean, after all, the Justice Department and the FBI have been doing everything they can to block, be an obstacle in any of the oversight investigations that you all have done so well. But let's say, if you want to bring Hunter Biden up for the committee, if you want to bring up family members, who own these LLCs, who got all this money from China, Ukraine, God knows where, will it be blocked? Or, you can subpoena. You already have congressional authority to subpoena. Do you need additional authority is what I'm trying to figure out. Would a vote on a resolution, for example, be useful here or strengthen here, or what? I'm just trying to parse through the options, because I think the next steps are, Mr. Chairman Comer's been on this show, and he said he wants to bring family members in front of the committee and so forth. So how do you read that?
Well, first of all, the reason why Speaker McCarthy started the impeachment inquiry is because now there is a legislative purpose to the request of information and potentially subpoenas issued to members of the Biden family. And that purpose is that the House has now started an impeachment inquiry into President Biden. That is the purpose. So now that the Speaker's made that declaration, we now have actually broader authority to make these subpoenas if the White House and the President decide that they want to fight us in court on said subpoenas. I will also add this. I personally think that if, with all the information that has come out, and members of the House are now getting more into the details about what's been going on in these investigations, I think the votes are there if we have to go to the floor personally. But we have that authority now. And I will also add, Larry, Nancy Pelosi did the very same thing. She started an impeachment inquiry with no vote of Congress. It was only that they actually went back and got a vote later down the line.
So that's another important point. Pelosi set an example. So, Byron Donalds, let me just make sure I understand. You're saying Speaker McCarthy's declaration does, in fact, give you additional authority. Is that that's your point?
What I'm saying is the start of an impeachment inquiry gives the House now a legislative purpose to subpoena additional documents or to require testimony of members of the Biden family under oath.
All right. No, I get that point. As a member of the Oversight Committee, will family members be called in front of the committee? Will they be subpoenaed, in your view, Byron?
I think it's very possible. Listen, you have Hunter Biden's daughter who's on the second half of a text message where Hunter Biden said, at least you don't have to give 10% of your money or half of your salary to me because that's what I have to do for my dad. That's a text message that Hunter Biden sent to his daughter. You have other members of the Biden family who have gotten cashier's checks. They have gotten wire transfers, and they have nothing to do at all with any of the companies that were set up by Hunter Biden, except for the fact that they're members of the Biden family. And then the third piece overall is, how have they actually been using the money that was filtered through Hunter Biden to benefit the Biden family? That money didn't go into projects. It wasn't going into real estate projects or something like that. That money was spent. I think a key question for a lot of those family members is, how was it spent? How was it transmitted? What did you get out of it?
Can you get the FBI to get something about these audio tapes between the head of Burisma and Joe Biden and Hunter Biden. I mean, it seems to me that is a very important piece of evidence. It has come up. It has been alleged. Of course, the FBI stonewalled. I did ask Chairman Comer about it. He said there's no new news on that. Seems to me, Byron, these audio tapes would tie you directly to the then Vice President Biden in a bribery scandal.
Well, look, I got to agree with my chairman here. I don't think there's any new news on this because it's not clear if the FBI has possession of those recordings. The confidential human source reported to the FBI that the recordings existed. But in terms of where is the custody of said recordings, we just don't know right now. I mean, listen, the funny thing is that I would hope that, a network would somehow find these recordings and actually put them on the air. They think this actually seems to happen all the time in our political system where miraculously audio recordings are given to a reporter and then they're on the air. Hopefully they're recovered and sent forward. But I truly believe with or without those recordings, we have more than enough information not only to start an impeachment inquiry, but when we get the additional information that frankly will just fill in the gaps on all that we know, I think that'll give the House the ability to bring articles of impeachment against Joe Biden.
All right. One last one, Byron Donalds. There's a report out the White House is sending a letter urging news outlets to, quote, ramp up scrutiny of the Biden impeachment inquiry. Sounds like they're trying to affect free speech here. We've seen this movie before. Here they go again. They're trying to threaten the news outlets. I don't know. But Fox got a notice too. I haven't heard anything about it. But anyway, what do you make of this? The White House on the prowl.
I mean, look, Larry, like you said, we've seen this before. This is the same White House that suppressed free speech of the American people with respect to COVID-19. This is the same White House that tried to create a department of disinformation with some knucklehead lady who believed all kind of crazy conspiracy theories. This is the same White House that has no respect for freedom of the press, no respect for the National Press Corps, because they can't even materialize the President of the United States for an extended inquiry by the press. They take 5 questions and then they play elevator music so he can go take his nap. So listen, this is par for the course from this White House. They want to intimidate journalists in our country. They want to basically run around the First Amendment and ignore it to protect Joe Biden and his family because they have engaged in public corruption.
Love that elevator music, Byron. Love that elevator music. Trouble is you can't dance to it, Anyway, we'll leave it there. Byron Donalds, thank you ever so much.